as much of that work as there is voiceover work in the Sphere. There's way more commercials, there's way more narration, there's way more of the types of work that might be a bit, less cool, but it's more consistent. And dub work typically is lower paid, non-union kind of world. Prelay is typically unionized, and so the pay is higher, the residuals are higher, but getting into an agent and getting in with studios like that, and being in the union, all those things are like 5-year goals. It's fine that we aren't starting there. So, if you want to do audiobooks, yeah, you go check out like ACX, or if you want to do commercials, you can sign up for any pay-to-play site. There's 100 commercials a day. And if you want to do anime and video game work, some people go to places like Casting Call Club just to do more of like a community, like almost like an indie film community theater type of level where you're collaborating and you're learning as you go. And yeah, maybe it's pretty low valued, like maybe there's low or no pay, but at least you're trying to get the skills to be able to apply that to the things we're finding on Twitter and Reddit, and people are posting all over the Sphere with regards to their voice acting needs. And then it's a numbers game. Most VAs that are working professionally only land between 1 in 10 and 1 in 20 of their auditions. And that was the pre-COVID numbers. So it really did change when the world shut down and we did everything online, because then you were going out for 50 or 100 auditions a week and hoping for 1 or 2 gigs. And it was very labor intensive, but you could also start to see, okay, what type of work is being asked for, what are the scripts looking like, what are clients expecting right now? And then we all modified, right? We all went through change in 2020 as to like, oh, I thought I knew what the game was. The game is a game, I'm learning. And now I want to play the game, not just live the game, which means being adaptive and insightful and reactive so that you can modify your offering to the type of work you're trying to get. Because I've done lots now, but I wasn't doing audiobooks before. And during COVID, I did some weird audiobooks, like some religious, like, I'm going on a mission and this is what I want to do. I was like, well, that's interesting. And then I also did some like wild fiction with like lots of action and many characters fighting and talking to each other, and I had to talk and fight myself in the scenes, and it's really fun. I like that kind of work, but the gamut is enormous. Like there's such a spectrum of types of work out there. So we can always talk about that in a little bit. I know that this person's arm is slowly calcifying into place. But yeah, we'll get you, and then oh great! I'll be more succinct. I will do 7-word answers. Go ahead.
Arm is on the floor. What was my question?
Your question was?
What kind of work did you start out doing, and how and when did you start getting like more bigger roles in anime and such?
Sure. So I joined the voice acting world in around 2002. I'd been a professional TV, film, commercial, and theater artist for a number of years already. I did have an agent already, so that kind of like helped me find that these opportunities were even available local. But I think it's a bit more known now than in the early 2000s. The first things that we often get included in when a studio is kind of getting to know us is something called WALA. Now WALA is like the group background voices, like you've got a scene like at a sporting event or like at a marketplace, and there's all that background stuff, murmuring and work that's happening, and that's all improv, basically. Like they get 3 of us around a microphone and they go, for the next 30 seconds, can you talk about like that you're selling melons and asparagus? And you're like, for 30 seconds? I mean, I need 7. So yeah, you really start to stretch those things out. But it also gets you to know other VAs that are more established. It starts to demystify that it's okay to make mistakes, because a lot of us are afraid of that. It's okay to make weird choices that are not maybe linear. And from that, I was able to move somehow quite quickly into some auditions for Dragon Ball GT, where for whatever reason, I was tasked with the job of bringing Oob to life for that series, and that started my connection to some pretty big franchises, which allowed me to go on to Tien and Dragon Ball and lots of things that were on YTV in the early 2000s. Like a lot of them didn't. Like I've got VHS tapes of things because I was like, I don't know, is this ever going to come out? But yeah, I mean that was kind of the start. And then it was just a bunch of things for a while, and then I became union about 10 years ago, and some things had to no longer be a part of what works I was a part of. Who knows how long they've had their hand up? Like more than that in exchange? Because I want to be able to address you. We've been taking a lot from this side of the room, so I just want to make sure who on this side has been like patiently waiting. No one. Cool. All right, back to the question side of the room. You're allowed to come back anytime you want to. Yes, sir.
Given that the kind of work you've done in like sort of spaces where language is, like different languages come into play, how do you, like what kind of resources would you use for pronunciation and learning
Totally.
how to like figure out how you're supposed to say that word?
Totally. And like learning apps in particular were really good for me for that because I had to look up a lot of things when I'm talking about countries and histories of cultures and languages that I'm not native to. And so, you know, YouTube's your friend and, you know, there's lots of pronunciation guides out there, including there's this really fascinating, I don't know if he's a voice actor or what, but he talks like...
I know I'll never be the same. Shook my world so hard again. Wish I washed away my sins. He's a dead man walking, blank stare in his eyes. Should have given up on the ones I trust. Never should have been surprised when they shot him down. Cold blood to the ground.